Hey everybody, it's GobletX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today I'll be playing another quick draft of March the Machine. Without further ado, let's get into the draft. For our pick one, pack one, we have a pretty cool rare, but it's a pretty slow one. It's basically a 5-mana sorcery that returns up to 3 permanents from our graveyard to our hand. If we can manage to deal 4 damage to this battle, then we can start putting permanents from our hand onto the battlefield, but by that point in the game, we're already more than capable of just casting everything in our deck, so it has to be just good on the front half, really, to be a great card, and it's fine. It's like a 5-mana draw 3, but it's a situational 5-mana draw 3, not really a super awesome pack one, pick one. We do have some pretty solid uncommons here. Zhalfirin Lancer is a very strong card for the blue-white deck in the format, the blue-white archetype, of course, being Knights, as you can see with Protocol Knight here as well. So we could go for that, head towards blue-white Knights, but there's also just a really good efficient removal spell, Collective Nightmare, which fits into every black strategy, where Zhalfirin Lancer only really fits into blue-white. So I'm going to go for Collective Nightmare here as just a great efficient removal spell, best removal card in the pack, probably the best card in the pack by a little bit. We'll start with the Collective Nightmare. For pack 1, pick 2, we have the incredible battle Invasion of Amonkhet, probably the best battle in the whole format. It's going to give you a very good front half, milling each player 3 cards, then having your opponent discard a card and you draw a card. And then the back half of this card is also absurd, especially with the front half fueling it. So you're going to mill your opponent 3, you're going to make them discard a card, which in the blue-black deck is already valuable, because that's 4 cards into their graveyard, and there are some cards in blue-black that care about your opponent having 8 or more cards in grave. So this really fuels that archetype, and it fuels itself. If you flip this battle, if you deal 4 damage to it, then you're going to get a 4/4 copy of any creature in any graveyard. So if you mill a good creature from your opponent's deck or force them to discard one, then that Lazotep convert can come out as something really scary. On average, it hits the board as like a 4/4 flyer. That's like the average. That's not the best it can be. That's not the worst it can be, but that would be about the average, I would say. Sometimes it's a 4/4 version of a Shieldred or a 4/4 version of an Elesh Norn or something like that, and it completely takes the game. So I think Invasion of Amonkhet is incredible in this format. It's easily going to be the pick here. There's other powerful cards like Streetwise Negotiators, just a really efficient beat stick. Phyrexian Awakening is really nice for the black-white deck, giving your whole board vigilance pretty much. Cyber Cryptomancer is great protection, but we're going to go with Invasion of Amonkhet. Card is absurd. And looks like it's time to hop into the minecart, because we are going to be drafting another blue-black deck on rails if we start with Collective Nightmare into Invasion of Amonkhet into Halo Forager. That is just going to be our best bet by far. So heading into the blue-black archetype, we're going to be playing a lot of great cheap removal spells, a lot of 2-for-1 spells, like cards that draw a card, make a creature, cards that are removal spells that also make a creature. Cards like Halo Forager is a creature and a recast of an instant or sorcery, so it's a blue-black kind of grindy, kind of value-based archetype with the sub-theme of milling your opponent at least 8 cards. So take a Halo Forager here, dive into that archetype. This pack's pretty weak outside of Halo Forager. There's a Cosmic Hunger for a green removal spell and Branch Burner for an okay finisher in red. Those are really the only cards that I'd super consider taking this early in the pack, outside of Halo Forager, and Halo Forager is far and away the best card, so happy to take it when we're already heading in the blue-black direction. And now pack 1, pick 4, the deck is building itself. Merciless Repurposing is one of my favorite cards in the format and one of the best removal spells. It is really slow, but it does exile a creature to make sure your opponents can't recur it. There are a lot of ways to bring things back from the graveyard, and it incubates 3 when you cast it, so you get to use this as a removal spell and a creature all in one, getting ahead a bit in card advantage there and helping grind out a game super well. Very easy Merciless Repurposing. For pack 1, pick 5, we have a pick between a Cyber Cryptomancer to protect our late game threats, or a Tranquil Cove to be able to splash a little bit of white more easily. Cyber Cryptomancer plays deceptively well. It's like an even better version of a Snakeskin Veil, which has been a solid limited card for a long time. Giving something a +1/+1 counter and hexproof at instant speed is always solid, and this leaves behind a 0/1 body at the same time, which gives you a free chump block later or a free bit of sacrifice fodder. There are some black removal spells in the format, and just black spells in general, that are going to want us to sacrifice a creature, and there's some blue spells in the format that'll want us to have random dorks sitting around for Convoke, so I think Cryptomancer plays so powerfully that even though I don't think blue-black is the best archetype for it, I think it's still good enough to take over the flexible dual land there. Pack 1, pick 6, we're going to take another Collective Nightmare over an Eyes of Gitaxias, but these are both very strong cards and the strongest cards in the pack yet again, just on color for us, so really good looking draft pod to be in the blue-black deck. Once again, 2 of the 3 strongest cards in this pack are in blue, Cyber Cryptomancer and Eyes of Gitaxias. I'll take the Eyes of Gitaxias this time though and get some of these value creatures. I will take this over Cryptomancer. Fearless Scald, though, I think is one of the top 3 cards in the pack. It's a really good finisher in the red decks. That backup for double strike out of nowhere can get a lot of damage in, and even if you don't back up onto a different creature, if you put the counter on itself, 5 mana for a 4/3 double striker, that is just a massive game-ending threat. If your opponent doesn't have the removal spell for this, a 4/3 double strike is super hard to kill during combat, and it's going to deal 8 damage if it ever gets through, so I like Fearless Scald quite a bit, but we're firmly in blue-black here. And now we have Skittering Surveyor versus Halo Charge Scab, which is kind of an interesting pick. Halo Charge Scab by itself with nothing that synergizes directly is just okay. Like, it'd be okay to play this, bring back a Collective Nightmare or Merciless Repurposing. That would be solid. But there are 2 different ways this card could become absurd. Either we have a lot of cards that care about our opponent having 8 or more cards in grave, or we have a specific rare or mythic that synergizes really well with it. There are a couple rares or mythics in the format that are on color, they're blue and black spells, that make this, instead of just being a random common, they make this a combo win condition. There's Breach the Multiverse, which will mill each player 10 cards and then bring a creature back from each grave. Well, if you bring a Halo Charge Scab back with that, you put Breach the Multiverse back on top of your deck, and then cast it again the next turn, and then you pick up another Scab and cast it again the next turn. You just go crazy with that. But there's also Sea Double, which allows you to create a copy of a creature you control, and if your opponent has 8 or more cards in their grave, you can also copy a spell while you're casting it. So with that combo, you can copy a Halo Charge Scab when that Scab copy enters the battlefield, put your Sea Double back on top of your library, and whenever you get to the point where your opponent has 8 or more cards in grave, you get to start doing that whenever they cast a spell, copy whatever spell they're casting, and get a 4/4 Halo Charge Scab, and put Sea Double back on top of your deck. So you can just goldfish and play only that for the rest of the game, and it's pretty much impossible to beat. So there's some really cool synergies with Halo Charge Scab, so I am going to take it over Surveyor, even though the Surveyor is more flexible, just in case we open one of those sweet rares. And I think that we're getting enough incredible blue and black cards that unless we open a really good rare or mythic that we want to splash in, we definitely don't need to do any splashing here. We can be pretty firmly in just blue-black. Speaking of being firmly in blue-black, we could go ahead and take a Dismal Backwater here. Render Inert would be a fine pick too, because it can flip an invasion, like Invasion of Amonkhet. I like running Render Inert when I have 2 or 3 battles in the deck, because then our main plan is to flip one of our battles, but if we ever don't have a battle on the board, we sometimes get to remove an opposing Phyrexian 0/0, because it'll be like a 3/3 or something. We remove the counters and it'll die. So it can kill Incubate tokens always, but I wouldn't play it without ways for our deck to specifically use it, because then we're relying on our opponent having cards that'll specifically die to this, which doesn't always happen. So don't take it massively highly, but it's still close enough between this and Dismal Backwater that it's worth mentioning. That being said, I think I'm just going to get my mana base a little set up here, take the Dismal Backwater there. Pack 1, pick 10, we've got 4 cards competing. We have Traumatic Revelation, which is fine. I've seen people play it. It can be good at times. I'm not really going to consider that one. But then there's also Tidal Terror, which I think is probably the 3rd best pick here. It is solid because it's going to give you a late game finisher that you can pick up at common if you don't find other ways to close out the game. And it lets you island cycle early game to make sure that even if you are mana screwed, it is going to do something for you, helping you get your mana. So I do like Tidal Terror, but there's 2 cards that I think are even better than that. Second best pick, I think, would be Emoti, Celebrant of Bounty, which is a really strong splash for these kind of decks, because it only requires 1 green mana, so it's not that hard to splash in, and you get to play a lot of cards like Merciless Repurposing and Tidal Terror Land Cyclers that will trigger the mana value 6 Cascade ability. So I like Emoti a lot. I think they're very fun and pretty powerful. Fun to build around, drafting a lot of land cyclers to have a lot of 6 drops in your deck. That being said, I think the number one best card here looks the most mediocre, but is the best in my opinion, Ichor Drinker. There's just a lot of little synergies that this card does perfectly for a deck like this. First and foremost, the most obvious is that it's a 1-mana 1/1 lifelinker, so it's going to hit the ground early and give us a cheap creature to use our Convoke abilities with, so that is already pretty good. But also it has graveyard abilities, and these blue-black decks will be milling both players, so if we ever randomly mill an Ichor Drinker, we're getting an extra bit of value there. All of a sudden, boom, we just drew a 3-mana 2/2. 1 mana to incubate 2 mana to flip it up. So we could just randomly, while we're casting Invasion of Amonkhet, kind of like make our opponent discard a card and we draw 1.5 cards because we drew a card and we have a 3-mana 2/2 available now. So I think Ichor Drinker just has a lot of good synergies here with Convoke and Self-Mill, and it's a fine early game creature in general for 2 chump blockers in one to give us more time to get to our other cards. So big fan of Ichor Drinker. I'm going to scoop it up here. Pack 1, pick 11, we have Gloomfang Mauler, Negate, and Rona, Sheoldred's Faithful. I'm not a massive fan of any of these, but I think I like Gloomfang Mauler the best since it is a flexible card and it's a really good one to have in your grave for the Invasion of Amonkhet because you get that backup ability to trigger, which is cool. You can kind of flip your Invasion of Amonkhet into a 6/6 menace. But yeah, Rona, it's cool that you can recast Rona, but discarding 2 cards is a really hefty fee to do that. And the mana cost is pretty difficult, double black and a blue and 1, pretty restrictive there. We do have a dual land and we're only 2 colors, so that wouldn't be the worst mana cost ever, but you're not getting that great of a creature for that restrictive mana cost. A 4 mana 3/4 is whatever, and making your opponent lose 1 life whenever you cast an instant or sorcery doesn't really matter too much. I think I would be pretty high on Rona if they changed the ability from having each opponent lose 1 life, if they made it so that it was like life drain, where also you gain a life. But Rona just not quite there for me. I've played her a lot, but never been super excited about her. I'm just going to take Gloomfang Mauler for the flexibility. Now we have an Ichor Shade versus a Bladed Battlefan. Neither of these are particularly likely to make the cut. A fine combat trick, a mediocre creature. Slowly gets bigger over time, but takes quite a while, and it's not the most consistent card, so I'll just take a Battlefan, but whichever card I take is going to start off in the sideboard. And here's some more stuff for the sideboard. I'm going to go ahead and hold down the Alt key, see how much I own of everything. Looks like a full playset. So I'm just going to rare draft the uncommon to fill out the vault progress faster. If you ever want to check how many cards you own in your own drafts while you're drafting, so that you can rare draft later in the pack when there's nothing you want like this, just hold down the Alt key on Windows. I believe that would mean hold down the Options key on Mac. So here we are now in Pack 2, pick number 1. We've opened up a very sweet 5-color card, but I am very committed to this powerful synergistic blue-black deck, so I'm not really interested in Omnath Locus of All. We have a decent tempo play with Wicked Slumber, another good early game card with Ichor Drinker, but my favorite card in the pack is Afara's Dispersal. It's an incredibly efficient piece of interaction that has played so much better than it looks. Basically, it's kind of like a 1-mana unsummon where you surveil 2. You bounce an opposing creature, and you get to look at the top 2 cards of your library, put any that you want to your grave, the rest on top. So it's a decent tempo play to slow your opponent down. It's a decent combat trick. It is a super solid way to slow your opponent down when they're specifically attacking you. It can fully kill creature tokens, and while it's doing all that stuff, it's setting up your draws. So Afara's Dispersal plays super, super well, and big fan of the card. We'll scoop it up here. Pack 2, pick 2 now. Do not draft Saison, Perverter of Truth, unless you have a really good way to use it. Normally, you're going to be playing this as a 5-mana 6/5. Your opponent is then going to draw 2 extra cards before you get anything out of this. So they get more card advantage than you do for playing this card, and that's if they don't even kill it. Really, really bad. If you tap out for this past your opponent, they draw 2 extra cards and then kill this, because then you just 3-for-1 yourself for nothing. So again, not very good even if they don't kill it, and it's super bad if they immediately do, so I would not recommend playing this unless you have a really, really good reason to. Ichor Shade is pretty filler, as I've said before. Disturbing Conversion is actually a fine removal spell for these grindier blue-black decks, these more controlling versions, because it can shut off any attack or anything that's just trying to get in, because you're doing a lot of milling. You're milling both players, so this is going to be enough of a -X that It's going to completely shut off an attacker. It doesn't stop any abilities or anything though, which is what holds it back and makes it so it's not the pick for me here, because we already have 2 Collective Nightmare and 1 Repurposing. If we had none of those right now, I might just take Inversion. I probably would. But instead, because we have that removal, the pick here is between Elvish Vatkeeper for a decent green splash, or Render Inert to flip our Invasion of Amonkhet and potentially have in the deck against opposing Phyrexian tokens. I think I'm going to go with Render Inert here. I'm just pretty happy to stick to a very strict blue-black deck, again, because it seems plenty open, plenty powerful. Don't think I need to do anything splashy to get powerful cards in this deck. Ideally, to make this Render Inert good, we want to find another Invasion of Amonkhet, or just any other invasion, just like one more, and that's where it'll make the cut for me. For now, I do want to draft around it a little bit more to be excited about it, but I am going to scoop it up. Pack 2, pick 3 has some very strong cards for us. We've got an Azumi Informant, which is a decent piece of card advantage because it gives our opponent card disadvantage, forcing them to discard a card. Pretty good with Afara's Dispersal as well. If we have nothing else to do, we could pick up an Informant and recast it later. There's Meeting of Minds, which is really good with a lot of cheap creatures to convoke it. Just solid card advantage you can cast for free sometimes. And Expedition Lookout is solid, but this does go pretty late because pretty much the only deck that wants this card is the blue-black deck. I do like it in this archetype, but I like Informant and Meeting of Minds a bit more. We can draft them. We're not going to wheel them as often as we wheel Expedition Lookouts, and just the inherent card advantage of these cards plays a little better than the nice unblockable creature late game that the Lookout can give us. So I think I'm taking the Azumi Informant here. Again, I think you'd be super free to be splashing into a third color if you want to. I don't think it's necessary here, but here's another opportunity to do that. Invasion of Tarkir we could play for 1 and a red to deal 2 to any targets, and then we could flip this with our Render Inert to try to turn it into that big scary dragon, but I'm just going to take Azumi Informant. Very solid 2-drop. You really forget how high quality the cards in this set are when you do Premier Draft. People have really figured out the format in Premier Draft, where when you move to Quick Draft, it feels like, oh my god, the cards get so much better because the bots just pass some great stuff sometimes. That's a pick 4 Atali. Wizards of the Coast are really putting me to the test here on this kind of diligent, just sticking to the really good-looking blue-black deck here. I have no mana fixing right now, and I actually didn't have any opportunities to draft red mana fixing. I could have had 1 Skittering Surveyor. Other than that, though, it was like a black-green duel or something like that. I don't remember. I think our deck's going to be plenty good as just blue-black, but it is really sad to pass up at Atali, and maybe the bot to our right is about to be very happy with a pick 5 Atali Primal Conqueror. Because that being said, even if it weren't for Atali, this pack is loaded with good stuff. We have Timurat, Chosen from Death, which I actually like quite a bit in this archetype. Decent-sized blocker that can gain us a bunch of life throughout the game. Because we are going to keep filling our opponent's grave with stuff to exile. There's Scornblade Berserker, which I think is going to be the pick because it's just another really good 1-drop creature to get us convoking early, and it can also just cycle itself away to draw us another card later. Could even cycle away one of our Ichor Drinkers or something, or our Cyber Cryptomancer if we draw it later in the game. When we've already played one of those, that is the power of the backup ability. So Berserker is just really flexible. Nice little cycler there. But there's also Unseal and Acropolis, which is great in this archetype. You can Unseal an Acropolis to bring back stuff like Halo Charge Scab, and you can like repeat those two together to get pretty far ahead in value and get a lot of mill going. So great stuff with Unseal and Acropolis, especially if you have a bomb creature. We don't have any bomb creatures though, so Unseal's a little bit lower in my pick order here, but yeah, super good pack. Berserker, Timurat, Unseal and Acropolis, Atali, all of those would be very reasonable picks. And if none of those were in the pack, Dreg Recycler is still fine. Definitely filler compared to all those, but not a bad card. For pack 2, pick 5, we are now at the point where there's nothing exciting on color. There's a Stasis Field, which would be okay, an Aetherborn, which would be okay. I'm not very high on Negate in this format, though. So I'm just going to take the Elvish Vatkeeper off color this time. Be a little open to splashing that. Now we have a Xerox Strobe Knight, which is a very nice card with any 1/2 mana creatures. You can probably cast 2 of those in one turn relatively easily, but especially with some Convoke spells, we do have 2 Collective Nightmares to help with that as well. Battles work too. If we're later in the game, we might be able to cast Invasion of Amonkhet and then deal enough damage to flip it immediately. That would count as 2 spells in one turn as well. So a lot of good ways to use the Strobe Knight, and the floor, the worst case scenario on the card, is a 3 mana 2/2 Flying Vigilance, which is fine. Pack 2, pick 7, we can now take an Eyes of Gitaxias as a really nice value creature, immediately replacing itself in card advantage by drawing you a card. The Oilcaster's pretty slow, and the Doombringer's pretty slow. Eyes of Gitaxias is just where it's at. Pack 2, pick 8, we get a second copy of Halo Forager. Yeah, I think we're going to have a perfectly powerful, perfectly reasonable deck in just blue-black here. Pack 2, pick 9, we have Wield the Ichor Drinker. Happily take that. Pack 2, pick 10, we can take a Disturbing Conversion now. Pick 11, Meeting of Minds Wheels. There's also an Expedition Lookout, which would be fine. I think I want the card draw, though. I'm getting a good amount of nice 1 mana, 2 mana creatures. A little low on 2 mana creatures, actually, because Cryptomancer doesn't really count, so Lookout would be a pretty fine pick here, but I've got 4 creatures at 2 mana or less already. Hopefully I can find some ones other than the Lookout. I'd like to take some card advantage here. I don't have a lot of that in my spells. I've got a lot of creatures, not a lot of draw spells and stuff. We'll take a Meeting of Minds. Now I've got a decent 2 mana creature with Dreg Recycler or Unseal the Necropolis as a fine value play. I did just pick up the decent value play already with Meeting of Minds. I think I'll take the Recycler this time and get the 2-drop creature. Right, Rada Coalition Warlord that I will not play, Shatter the Source that I will not play, and we're already at 22 cards. That being said, one of them is a land, so we're at 21 non-land cards out of 23. We just need to find 2 playables in this last pack, and we're golden, and we have found one of the best playables for this archetype, Deadly Derision. One of the best playables for any black archetype. A 4 mana instant that destroys any creature or planeswalker and creates a treasure token is just phenomenal in this format. Instant speed removal that can destroy pretty much anything is super good for any bomb-heavy format where there's cards like Vorinclex running around. So big fan of Deadly Derision. It's even better in other decks too, because that treasure token, it's decently valuable in a 2-color deck, letting you ramp up a little bit, but really valuable if you're 3+ colors because it also fixes you. So Deadly Derision is the stone cold nuts. We'll take that card. We'd love to wheel it in the Zoomian format. Opened up 2 great rares, but neither of which I'm that interested in playing. Pack 3, pick 2, there we go. There's the C-double to combo with Halo Charged Scab. So if we ever have a C-double in our graveyard, we can Halo Charge Scab, put the C-double back on top, draw the C-double, use the C-double to copy a Halo Charge Scab, put the C-double back on top, and keep doing that for the rest of the game. That is a pretty big, pretty powerful late-game win condition, and now we'll take duplicates of Halo Charge Scab very highly if we see them. Pack 3, pick 3, big fan of the Blight Reaper Thallid. Nice early game creature to help with our Convoke and our casting 2 spells in 1 turn for the Strobe Knight. Big fan of that kind of stuff. Temporal Cleansing would be fine here. I am liking our interaction though quite a bit. And wanting some more 2-drop creatures, I think I'll take the Thallid here over that. Pack 3, pick 4, not much competition. I'll take Meeting of Minds. I am a pretty big Yargle hater. Yargle's cool for the memes, but a 5 mana card that trades into 2 mana 3/1s is super bad, unless, again, you can play it in decks if you have really good reasons to. If you have a lot of ways to give it flying or something like that, then absolutely go for it. But by itself in a deck like this, gotta be pretty bad. Now we get to scoop up another Scornblade Berserker over pretty much nothing else, another Ichor Drinker over pretty much nothing else. Here we've got a bit of competition, a Cyber Cryptomancer, an Eyes of Gitaxias, and an Aetherblade Agent. Kind of like another Eyes of Gitaxias here. It's a great value play up front, but it's also nice with the Halo Foragers to make them flexible, where if I just want to play another creature off of a Halo Forager, I could just incubate again. So this might be wrong, but I'm going to go for a 3rd Eyes of Gitaxias there. Seems reasonable to me. And here's a 2nd copy of Halo Charge Scab over a 4th Ichor Drinker and a 1st Expedition Lookout. Those would both be solid, but another Halo Charge Scab to have some redundancy with the C-double combo plan seems fantastic. Pack 3, pick 9, we'll take the 2/2 Recycler. Not a big fan of creatures with Convoke. I think the strongest Convoke spells by far are instants like Collective Nightmare, because then you can hold up all your creatures on blocks and cast a Convoke spell during your opponent's end step at instant speed for free just by tapping your creatures. Whereas with sorcery speed, Convoke spells like creatures or sorceries that have Convoke, the mechanic's a lot weaker because you can't attack with anything you're convoking unless it has Vigilance. And so that way you're shutting off that creature's ability to attack and block for the turn in order to get mana out of it. Whereas again, with instants, you can still block with the creatures and then cast your Convoke spell during your opponent's end step. It's also really hard for your opponent to play around instants with Convoke because your opponent's just going to see you're tapped out. A lot of the time they're going to be like, all right, I'm just going to do things freely. And then all of a sudden they get Collective Nightmare. Like, it can really ruin their day. So a lot of reasons that I like Collective Nightmare a lot, but not that big flying dork. Unseal the Necropolis would be pretty solid here. It's going to let us kind of search for our combo, because sure, it might mill our C double, but if it mills our Halo Charge Scab, we're just going to put the Scab in our hand, and then the Scab can put the C double on top. So this actually helps our combo game plan, even though we don't have any like bomb creatures to reanimate. I think it's still good in here. Now we have Assimilate Essence, which is a fine counterspell. Definitely better than the failed conversion for mana efficiency. Holding down the Alt key again, and I already own all of these, so I guess we'll rare draft Yargle. Highest rarity card, so it fills the vault progress the fastest. And yeah, let's just wrap up this draft, get to the deck building. Alright, so we've got 49 cards in here, so we need to cut quite a few. I think first off, I'm going to drop the Render Inert. We only have the one invasion for it to flip, so it's mostly going to be getting used against opposing Phyrexians, which isn't the greatest, most consistent thing ever. I think we have good enough removal to drop a Disturbing Conversion here. I've got a lot, and I mean a lot, of sorcery speed stuff I want to do. I don't know how often I'm holding up instants like Assimilate Essence, so I might drop that. With like the triple Eyes of Gataxias sort of game plan at sorcery speed, stuff like that. But I guess I can hold up the 2 mana to flip an Incubator, and then I can hold up the counterspell. I've also got all these removal spells, so Assimilate might be fine. I might have enough just like 2-for-1 card advantage to not need straight card draw at this point. We have Invasion of Amonkhet drawing a card when it hits the board, Informant making our opponent discard a card, 3 Eyes of Gataxias for draw 1 spells. Yeah, we might be good enough to drop some Meeting of Minds. These are going to be on the chopping block. I'm not going to immediately cut them like I did Render Inert. We've got 5 1-drops and 4 2-drops. That's 9 cards at 2 mana or less. That feels like plenty. Maybe cut 1 Dreg Recycler. Maybe cut like 1 Ichor Drinker. I don't know, I really like the Ichor Drinkers with all the self-mill shenanigans and the Berserkers to go with them. I might cut 1 Recycler. I think I'm going to try to keep all those if I can. I actually like the Strobe Knight a good amount in here because we have 5 1-mana cards. That might actually be pretty sweet. Gloomfang Mauler is a bit slow. Neither halves of the card are perfect. We don't really want to spend 2 mana to get a land. We don't really want to spend 7 mana on that kind of dork later. I mean, the second half is good, but getting to 7 mana is a lot. I have to cut 7 cards of some kind, so maybe cut 1 of these Eyes of Gataxias. 3 is a lot of them. Yeah, I guess we probably cut some of our triplicates in this deck. I like keeping Cryptomancer in here to protect the Halo Charge Scab C double combo. Yeah, there's no way Halo Forger, Repurposing, Scab, C double, Deadly Derision, Collective Nightmare, Afara's Dispersal. There's no way any of these cards are getting cut. The Invasion's definitely not getting cut. Informant, Thallid, Berserkers are not. Maybe Strobe Knight, maybe Unseal. Everything is so good, it is hard to choose what to cut here. Alright, I'm going to go for the 1 Recycler, 1 Mauler, cut both Meeting of Minds, drop 1 Eyes of Gataxias, and I still need to drop 2 more cards. Suppose I will drop 1 of the Ichor Drinkers. I could get a bit bold and drop 1 of the Halo Charge Scabs. Might be greedy. Probably is. Just believe in the heart of the cards. Believe that my opponent will have no interaction to stop it. Now I'm going to keep that redundancy. This C-double Halo Charge Scab is such a consistent, really hard to stop win plan, or win condition. Like, the only way they really stop it is with graveyard interaction, if I've got 2 Scabs and a Cryptomancer with the C-double. Like, unless they've exiled our C-double, if we get to the late game, we can close the game off that. Kind of want to keep a Dreg Recycler for another 2-drop to help get towards that late game. So maybe I do drop Assimilate Essence, so that I can just tap out on turn 1, tap out on turn 2, tap out on turn 3 with Isaac Taxius, Invasion of Amonkhet, any of that kind of stuff. I don't have to always hold up mana to have the Essence up. I can just rely on repurposing Deadly Derision, double Collective Nightmare. I've also got Dispersal. 3, 4, 5. That's 5 pieces of removal and 2 ways to recast them from grave. That should hopefully be plenty without the counterspell. I'll drop the Assimilate Essence here, and I think this is where we're going to call it a deck. Alright, so here's a look at the final deck for today. It is going to be another blue-black mill kind of combo deck. Kind of my comfort archetype in this format, the deck that I've drafted the most and had the most success with. I think it's a really sweet archetype with a lot of super powerful cards. So we start off by having a good curve of cheap creatures to make sure that we can do a lot of blocking in the early game and make sure that we're always doing some stuff with our mana. We have some cards like Strobe Knight that can get some really good value off of some of our cheap Convoke spells and just cheap creatures in general, potentially making a wide board state. And then we have the best battle in the format, the Invasion of Amonkhet here, which is super sweet. If we manage to flip it with those cheap creatures, we can get a really ridiculous 4/4 version of the best creature in either graveyard. Once we get a bit farther up the curve, we get into some of the really good stuff that Black has to offer, which is a lot of the best removal in the format. Cards like Deadly Derision can blow up anything. Merciless Repurposing can exile any creature and incubate to give us some 2-for-1 value. And cards like Collective Nightmare are just brutally efficient, often castable for only 1 or even 0 mana if we have some of our cheap creatures on the board. So a lot of that really efficient removal out of black. And out of blue, we get some great card draw with Eyes of Gitaxias, some good card advantage there, giving us a 3/3 drawing a card. Afara's Dispersal for more good cheap interaction. And then C-double for a huge combo piece. This is our main finisher in this deck. If we can't get there off of our creatures and our Invasion of Amonkhet alone, we have the C-double combo. That combo is that if we have a C-double in our graveyard or a C-double in our hand and a Halo Charge Scab on board, either way, if we have both of these cards in any combination, C-double can be in the graveyard or our hand, the Scab can be in our hand or on the board. We can use C-double at the end of our opponent's turn to make a copy of our Halo Charge Scab, so we'll get another 4/4 onto the board. We then mill 2, our opponent mills 2, and we put C-double back on top of our deck to cast it again during our opponent's next end step. Now, if we do that a couple times, even if our opponent doesn't already have 8 or more cards in grave, they eventually will off of the Halo Charge Scab mill, and at that point, we hold up the C-double, and whenever our opponent casts any spell, we copy the spell that they're casting and copy the Halo Charge Scab at the same time, and then put the C-double right back on top of our deck. So we get to cast everything our opponent's casting and a 4/4 for the rest of the game. So it's a pretty unbeatable combo, really good stuff, and that is why we are running 2 copies of Halo Charge Scab and a Cyber Cryptomancer to potentially protect them. Last but not least, the one card I have forgotten to mention is Halo Forager, which basically gives us more interaction. These are 2 more copies of Deadly Derision, Collective Nightmare, Afara's Dispersal, or Merciless Repurposing, depending on what part of the game we're in, or if we've milled a good removal spell in our opponent's graveyard, we can copy that instead. We could even use this to draw a card off Eyes of Gitaxias, just a really flexible, very good 2-for-1 value play later in the game. 3 mana, 3/1 flyer, plus recast whatever instant or sorcery we want. So a lot of great ways to grind out some good value and a very consistent endgame plan anytime we hit C-double. Looks like another very sweet blue-black deck, and I'm very excited to see how it does as we get into the gameplay. Alright, here we are on the play for game 1. Pretty keepable hand. We gotta hit 1 land. If we hit that 1 land, we can cast everything but Deadly Derision, which is super fine. If I miss the land, I still have 3 castable cards. I'm gonna keep it here and hope for the best. I might go for Ichor Drinker into Berserker, making the Ichor Drinker a 2/2 lifelinker. Probably better to be mana efficient, just run out the Thallid, but it is tempting. I guess I could crack the Berserker. Yeah, if I missed my land drop here, which I did, I think it might be better to get a big lifelink swing from Ichor Drinker and pop it for some card draw to make sure I keep hitting lands, because we need to hit a lot of mana in this deck. Rather pop the Drinker or the Berserker. If I pop the Berserker, I can't sack the Drinker for another card later. I probably won't need to. If I have a land in the top 2 here, get 1 card right now, perfect. And then Eyes of Gataxias gives me another card. Yeah, this should be fine. And I can just keep a 2/2 lifelinker around, which is powerful. Could Collective Nightmare on Offenza, but if they want to trade her into Ichor Drinker, I am more than happy with that. If they don't, though, I think we gotta do it. Means Collective Nightmare here. I'll wait till their turn and do it in response to whatever creature they play trying to bolster. Alabaster Host Sanctifier. Yeah, I'm going to kill that before it resolves, because if it resolves, they might try to bolster the counter onto the lifelinker, in which case I still don't want to kill the lifelinker. I'd rather kill the Kin Tree Spirit. So let's just kill it before the creature resolves so they don't get the counter. Alright, Forest, pass turn. We draw our 4th land, which is beautiful. Definitely send in the Ichor Drinker. Get a trade. That gives me the perfect way to spend 4 mana here, which is Eyes of Gataxias, play a land, and incubate again. Seems good to me. Very mana efficient, getting a lot of eggs on the board, ready to flip them and attack with them soon. Our opponent has an empty board here. I just smack them for 5. Don't see a huge reason not to. Let's just smack. They're down to 13 now. Blighted Burgeoning for some mana fixing and mana ramp. And they've got the mana to flip that egg now, so they can trade their 2/2 egg for our 2/2 egg. I'm not going to Deadly Derision that or anything. No cheap enough instants or sorceries in grave for the Halo Forager. You can't convoke anything you're recasting with Forager, you have to pay the full mana cost. So we might be on Halo Charge Scab this turn. I don't think we're going to Deadly Derision any blockers. Let's send in the combat. Allow that trade for sure. Yeah, I think I just drop a 4/4. I don't even need to get any value out of the ability. And I don't think I will be, because I'm still pretty happy to draw land off the top instead of one of these spells. Get to the 6th mana for Halo Forager. There's a Mirror Shield Hoplite off of the red mana from Blighted Burgeoning. And they pass the turn. There is the 6th land. Let's see about a Halo Forager into Collective Nightmare here. They're just going to scoop them up. They are over it. That probably means that it's going to resolve, and we'll hit them for 7, putting them to 3, and they just don't have an out to that. So we're going to start off 1-0, heading into Game 2. All right, here we are on the play again for Game 2. I'll go with it. Solid hand. Double Ichor Drinker into Invasion of Amonkhet. All right, well, we draw 2-drop creatures, so we're going to run that out instead of the Ichor Drinker on turn 2. Playing against blue-black, they've got an Order of the Mirror. Let's drop an Invasion of Amonkhet, send everybody its way, take whatever trades they go for. Uh-oh, I did not hit a land here. Might miss our 4th land drop this game. Alright, trade the Recycler for the 2/1. There's their own Invasion of Amonkhet. Let's go. Mirror match time. Ooh, they've got a Preening Champion and a 2nd Invasion of Amonkhet. Alright, their deck might be better than ours. The Order of the Mirror is worse, but Preening Champion, another Invasion of Amonkhet's pretty great. Probably discard an Ichor Drinker since it's got that good ability in the grave anyway. There we go, land number 4. Perfect, beautiful stuff. I think I would rather incubate 3 and draw a card, then just immediately flip a 2/2. Although the 2/2 is big enough to kill the invasion too, but yeah, I'm going to keep drawing cards here. Another land. Super fine by me. That gives us the mana to spend 3 on Eyes of Gataxias and 2 on flipping our 3/3. They've got 4 mana up here. We'll see what they do with it. Preening Champion. Wow, they got double Preening Champion. That is very good. That's one of the strongest commons in the set. Plays really, really good against battles and stuff. Or really well against battles and such. They could double block and kill my 3/3, or they just chump it. Kind of like sending a 3/3 at the invasion. Although, I also kind of want to kill the Preening Champion. Do they have the 2 mana removal spell? -2/-2? No, they have no instants or sorceries in their grave, so... Not a great time. Or, oh no, all my scabs are gone, but I still have my mill 3 pick up 2 creatures I could get to get Halo Charge Scab C double going. Oh, or I could make Invasion of Amonkhet a Halo Charge Scab. Kind of want to kill Preening Champion so they can't hit Invasion of Amonkhet. That would be Derision the Champion, sack the treasure to flip the 3/3. Send both at Invasion. This might be dumb, but I'm just going to go for it. Because we have a Halo Forager to play another removal spell later if I'm going to need to kill something else later. They don't chump here. We immediately flip Invasion, so they probably chump. They either chump or they just let us flip here. And even if they chump, we're putting it down to 1, where even if they find a blocker for the 3/3, they need 2 blockers again, so they need like a 3rd Preening Champion to stop us from flipping our Invasion of Amonkhet. They might have their own Halo Forager. They're looking through both graves. I don't have anything that costs 2, but if they play a land and a Halo Forager, that could be bad. Ooh, render inert. That's why they're looking at graves. That's very, very good here. Yeah, they're the 2 Invasion of Amonkhet render inert deck. Gonna be disgusting. Probably Preening Champion. Strobe Knight is the pick. And a Skyclave Aerialist. Okay, well, send both creatures at Invasion of Amonkhet. They have to block both. And then we can Collective Nightmare the Strobe Knight. Because they have to block here. Unless they don't block, in which case I'll get a Halo Forager and Deadly Derision the Strobe Knight. Alright, well this is still going to be good. I could get a C double. There's no spells to copy right now, though. Be spicy, but I'm just going to Deadly Derision. Could hold up Collective Nightmare. Or get a Incubate 2. Let's hold up Collective Nightmare just in case. Alright, Invasion of Amonkhet copy number 3. Quick Draft is just the Wild West. Quick Draft is just, you never know what kind of insane things you're going to see that would never happen in a Premier Draft. So rare to see a triple Invasion of Amonkhet deck in a Premier Draft. Alright, I'm just going to kill this Strobe Knight. I top deck a land, I can then Halo Forager and do another Collective Nightmare. On the Aerialist. Don't top deck a land, I get another Halo Forager. Do they mill any 2 mana removal yet? No, neither of us have 2 mana removal. We don't have the Final Flourishes. Well, they only have a 2/1 on board, so we just attack with everybody. And then just play a Halo Forager, I guess. For no value. No, I'll just flip a 2/2. Because again, I'm one turn away from Halo Forger, Collective Nightmare, or Halo Forger Gitaxian thing, which is great too. Eyes of Gitaxius. Working name Gitaxian thing. I gotta find a way to hit this twice without dying, which should be difficult. Well, there's Iker Drinker for life gain. There's the land. Let's go. Okay, I was gonna say no counterspell. No counterspell. Alright, they're just gonna scoop them up. They are over it. Collective Nightmare to kill an aerialist. Get in with a bunch of dorks again. And hold up 2 flying blockers. Just gonna be too much. So we are now 2-0, heading into game number 3. Here we are for game 3. Mono blue hand, but Strobe Knight on 3 and C double later. Sketchy. Don't love the keep. Don't love the hand, period. Might be better than a mulligan. Yeah, I mean, I'll keep here. It's a very hesitant keep. Strobe Knight into C double on any land draw. Alright, well, there's the any land draw. 4 islands and a dream. Our opponent is aggressive, starting with a 2-mana 3/1 in their green-white deck. Green-white tends to be really aggressive, +1/+1 counter focused. Aggro. Cavalier into Cavalier. Do they have another land? No, they're stuck on 2 mana. That's gonna be helpful. Not that I'm in a particularly good position with no black source still. But at least they're stuck on mana for now. So they kept a 2-lander, got punished. We kept a 1-color hand, got punished. It'd be awkward. Oh, of course, that's a knight. God dang it. I was going to say we could C double the Inquisitor, block and kill a Cavalier, but that's just also a knight. Which means we have no blocks that are going to kill anything because of the first strike. And then we got no blocks. Down to 11. Gotta do something with my mana. We'll make another Strobe Knight. Alright. Obviously, the keep did not pan out. That means we're probably dead. We'd be really dead if they hit more lands, but even now, 2-mana 3/1 first strike is a pretty dang good deal, so if they just play a knight every turn, that's not really winnable. Be difficult even if we had both colors. Flip the 3/3, come on in. Part of the power of the Norn's Inquisitor gives you a spell for 2 turns in a row, even if you miss lands. Goodbye, Strobe Knights. Well, we're going to 4. We're going to 0. Alright, here we are with another mono-colored hand, but this time we have Scornblade Berserker to be able to draw some cards. Try to cycle into the blue source. This, I think, is a snap keep because of the Scornblade Berserker. I'm not hesitant about this in the slightest. We could get punished twice in a row, but it would be astronomically harder to get punished with this hand. And we could also just immediately hit the island and not be worried about it in the slightest. Which I think means we drop out another Iker Drinker and just go full damage right now. Have as much power on the board as possible for when I cast Invasion of Amonkhet on turn 3. Well, we are not going to get through an Oracle of Tragedy, so... Not the coolest ever, but we're definitely casting Invasion of Amonkhet. Playing against blue-black again. Draw an Eyes of Gitaxius. kill the Psychic Drinker, let it take 2, or they just let it take 1. That's actually fine, I think. Alright, 1 damage to Invasion of Amonkhet, and we gain 3. We actually do still get fine attacks into the 1-3 there. I think we just do the same thing again this turn. Same blocks. And Invasion of Amonkhet is now down to 2. Let's drop a Eyes of Gataxius here. And Dismal Backwater's the draw. Pretty happy I didn't play my land because I don't need to cycle Berserker yet. Meeting of Minds from our opponent. They're going to draw 2 cards. Play their 4th land and pass the turn, holding up some instants. Theoretically, flip Invasion of Amonkhet this turn. Turn into a Blight Reaper Thallid or something. Blight Reaper Thallid is the only option in a graveyard, so it actually doesn't even become anything good yet. So I might just be on, I'm probably on Halo Charge Scab here. Hope that their instants in hand are like Deadly Derision for removal against creatures rather than counter spells. That way I can play Halo Charge Scab, get its Enter the Battlefield effect to give Invasion of Amonkhet something good to turn into. So that they do still have to protect it. Yeah, now it could just be a 4/4 flyer, I guess. Ooh, I can pick up a Merciless Repurposing for next turn? Sure. So if I flip Invasion of Amonkhet, I'm just going to make it a 4/4 flyer with no text. That's fine. Alright, so they're going to kill an Ichor Drinker. Oh no. Deadly Derision, the other one. Vanquish the Weak, the other one. Fair enough. Well, I got some 3-mana 2/2s in my grave. Eyes of Gataxius from our opponent now, so they can raid that into our 3/3. Another Oracle of Tragedy. Just shuffle a bunch of stuff back in? Okay. Clear the mind, style, value. So they just have 2 1/3s, so I could just Halo Charge Scab into the Invasion and then pick up a Halo Forager and cast Eyes of Gataxius here. Otherwise they have to chump. And they probably just trump and shuffle 4 cards back. And did they only shuffle 1 card and what happened? They had 6 cards. There's no way they had more than 6. I mean, there's no way they had a lot more than 6. They might have just not shuffled 4 cards in. Alright, I don't want to repurpose anything right now. That doesn't seem incredible. I only need 3 mana up for the Halo Charge Scab, so let's flip the Incubator. Send in. Force the double trump or just have it flip. It's gonna flip. Let's get a Halo Forager. Get an Eyes of Gataxius. And plop out an Ichor Drinker Incubator as well. They might have a lot of good cards shuffled into their deck, but we've got a lot of creatures on board. Beat sticks galore, and now I have another Halo Forager to cast later. Probably send in the squad, let the agent trade off into whatever. Hold up repurposing for now, or send in with a 3/3? Let's send in with everything I can. I don't want to send in with 2/2s though against a 3/3 Incubator. Could make this a 3/3 though. Actually seems fine to me. Go team, go. I don't know sports enough to know what team we're rooting for right now. Go Blue Jays. I don't know what sounds blue-black. Go Ravens. All right, trade, chump, trade, sure. They're down to 11. Shuffle a bunch of cards back or draw and discard. They're going to draw, discard. Let us get another incubator. And pass the turn. Invasion of Arcavios. Okay. I understand why they discarded that. That doesn't really do much. Sack the Summoning Sick Berserker for value. Ooh, another Halo Charge Scab. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I can kill Oracle of Tragedy. I could theoretically kill them on the spot, but I don't have the mana to flip this and kill that, so. Plus it's all in on them not having removal. We could just send in everybody, hold up some mana. Looks scary. Okay, they've got removal for Halo Forager, but they're going to take 6 and go to 5. Yeah, we're looking pretty good. Let's drop a Halo Charge Scab. Do we find a C-double? We do not find a C-double. I could put a Deadly Derision on top, which seems plenty good. Unseal the Necropolis. Goodbye, Deadly Derision. You're no longer on top. So they've got enough mana to go for like a Halo Forager and still have 5 mana up. 6 if they hit a land. So, is there a Merciless Repurposing in a grave? No Merciless Repurposing in a grave, so it can't be like horrific for us, but they could definitely Deadly Derision with a Halo Forager. And that looks to be what they're doing. Yep, Deadly Derision. Blow up our 4/4. They've got 2 mana to play the Aether Blade Agent as well. They're down to 1 card in hand. 5, 6, 7, 8 mana. That's enough for Halo Forager and 5. Deadly Derision them back. Collective Nightmare for 3. 3 blockers. Trade. Trade. Full on block. I guess with 8 mana, I might be on repurposing and flip the incubator. And they just kill one of my 3/3s this turn. Yeah, sure. I'm gonna kill that one so that they can't recur that from the grave. They can't reanimate it again. Poke for 2 and kill all of their creatures. And we have a 3/3 to flip next turn. And it'll be Summoning Sick because it just entered the battlefield this turn. That's why we're not flipping it and attacking right now. One card in hand, bunch of lands. They are going to scoop them up, and we are now 3-1, winning the blue-black mirror match every time. Here we are now for game number 5. 3-1 at this point. Kind of a lot of mana here, but hopefully Eyes of Gataxias can draw us into some gas. We've got our 1-drop and 3-drop. We know what we're doing early in the game. Just got to find some late game plays. Another blue-black mirror match. This time they have some white in the deck as well, though, so white, blue, and black at least. Discard another swamp. Oh, now we have a turn 3 Invasion of Amonkhet, which I might play instead of Eyes of Gataxias. There's their Invasion of Amonkhet. I feel like this is just another blue-black mirror match, basically. No, I mean, they milled the plains. They have a very real white splash, I think. I have one double blue card, and that's C double, and they've already milled it, so I'd rather keep more black sources. Well, no, let's have double blue and double black, I guess. Ooh, we get to gain some life and hit our Invasion of Amonkhet. Let's go. And then we just chump block the Oracle next turn with the Cryptomancer. A little bit of value for that. Discard a Rona, that's some good value. They do have to keep in mind one removal spell would let us flip our Invasion of Amonkhet if they send in with their Oracle. Oh yeah, they're probably not sending in with the Oracle at that rate. That's pretty painful. What's in grave right now? There is a Halo Forager. I've got a lot of good options for that, though. I think I want to keep Eyes of Gataxias to draw more cards and try to get out of this card advantage pit that Invasion of Eldraine's putting us in. I'm gonna drop land. I don't love it. Probably like Island, Blight, Light Reaper, Thallid would be fine, but I mean, if I just keep hitting lands, then I made the right choice. Eyes of Gataxias gives us a big enough creature to attack past Oracle of Tragedy. Light Reaper Thallid gives us a wide enough board state to do that too. Let's go Eyes of Gataxias. And hit another land. Okay. Alright, I'm just omnipotent. I knew exactly what was coming, and that I definitely should have discarded 2 lands, because it's 2 more lands. Let's go. We haven't milled any. I guess I'm only running 2 Ichor Drinkers in the end. I was going to say, we've milled a lot of cards, both players, and haven't milled any Ichor Drinkers, but it's like, oh yeah, I'm not running the 3 Ichor Drinkers anymore. Flywheel Racer, more mana fixing for our opponent, as well as a potential 3/2 to attack battles with. I've got a 2/2 to trade into that, so I'm not super worried about that. But the mana fixing is real if they're playing another color that we haven't seen yet. We have not seen any white cards. They might just be blue-black with a Sunfall, or some silly nonsense like that. We've got the C double for the Halo Charge Scab, and they have more than enough cards in grave. Do I get a little greedy here? Hope they don't have a mill card and just set that up rather than flipping this and attacking Invasion of Amonkhet? Are there any Halo Charge Scabs in graveyards? No? I guess I like that I can go for the flip on Invasion of Amonkhet and still play more cards this turn, so I'm actually going to do that for now. Yeah, let's do that. Let's go for the flip. They can crew the 3/2, block and kill the 3/3, but then the Ichor Drinker gets in and kills Invasion of Amonkhet if they do that. So they need to be able to do that and have like the 2 mana removal spell or something. Afara's Dispersal or Final Flourish would be the 2 removal spells they could have. Bounce an attacking creature for 1 mana, or 2 mana give -2/-2 to something. Uh-oh. They could have a good combat trick here to protect the Flywheel Racer from fully trading into the 3/3. Gonna be the Final Flourish. Collective Nightmare, that does work as well. Okay, so that's not gonna happen anymore. Do I play a Blight Reaper Thallid, or do I be more mana efficient, spend 3 mana to play and flip an Incubator? I guess the best way to do this is probably make an Incubator and a Thallid, and then next turn I have 2 2/2s to attack the Invasion again. It's actually a mixture of those 2 lines. Yeah, if I'm going to play the Thallid, then obviously Incubate as well. I got there eventually. Brain goes slow when do multiple things. You can remove multiple from that statement. My brain just goes slow in general. So there's a cycle of a Tidal Terror to get up to their 5th mana next turn. And a Stasis Field on the Thallid, make it a 0/2 defender. Well, keeps their Oracle of Tragedy from hitting my Invasion of Amonkhet. Well, can't flip the Invasion, and I know they can't counter Halo Charge Scab, so let's just set the Halo Charge Scab C-double Chicanery up. I like the word chicanery so much that I overuse it. I never use it for what it actually means. Just because it's such a fun sounding word, but it's specifically for like legal shenanigans, not just any shenanigans. It's too fun though. It's too fun. They only have 3 power, by the way. So we just flip and get whatever the best creature in a grave is. Let's just flip. They only have 3 power. I guess they can jump with the Oracle. That's fine. Sure. If they cast any spells, I will C-double and go to town. If they do not cast any spells, I will C-double and go to town. Sure. Alright, we have cast their Rona and a 4/4, thanks to C-double. And they see the combo and they're done now. They're like, wait a second. So you're just going to cast what I cast and a 4/4 every turn for the rest of this game? Yes. Yes, I am. We are now 4-1 heading into game number 6. Yep, we are now 4-1 heading into game number 6. Here we are on the play for game 6. We do not have any early game plays, but we have a really powerful late game. We could die to an aggro deck, but if I draw really well and I hit some of my 1/2 mana creatures, that could help solve that. If I don't draw well, if my opponent's a slower deck, we could be fine. They're on green. Green can be a slower archetype if they're one of the splashier multicolored builds. If they're like green-white or green-red, they could be pretty aggressive. Alright, they're a Portent Tracker deck. We're probably okay with this opening hand against a Portent Tracker deck. And there's an Eyes of Gataxias. Get things started on turn 3. Nice and slow, but perfectly fine for this matchup, it looks like. Go for a Swamp here. And an Overgrown Pest. Get some card draw going. They look at the top 5 and they choose to draw a Pelucranos Reborn. Well, I know what I'm going to merciless repurposing. Ooh, dear. So a 4/5 reach, and if it dies, specifically dies, emphasis on dies, it's going to split into 2 3/3s if they flip it to the back half. So, good thing we can exile it later. I want to play Informant and flip the 3/3. Do I flip it on blocks? I mean, they're only going to hit me for like 2 this turn. Should probably flip it on attacks here. Chip in for 3 and then take 2. Next turn they just cast a Pelucranos. We'll see what's going on with their deck here. If they're like a very multicolored splashy deck, they might just discard an off-color card. That'll give us some good information. Call of Whispered Hopes. So they probably have a decent amount of lands and just mana in the hand in general if they discard that. Definitely makes it look like they're at least splashing a 3rd color. Although, they could just be green-black and they just need some mana fixing to play a triple green card. Like, that is hard to get generally. Triple green that quickly. Yeah, they might just be green-black. We don't know for sure. Take my 2 damage. Down to 17, and they play a Blight Reaper Thallid. Ooh, some real good interaction to hold up a Forest Dispersal now. That's going to let me Surveil 2 as well to make sure I hit the 6th land. The 6th land feels really important, so I'm going to hold up 3, which means I don't play anything here. We just pass. Worst case scenario, we like bounce Pelucranos in their end step. Surveil 2 trying to hit a land. Best case scenario, we can find a good use for Cyber Cryptomancer as well and make the use of all 5 of our mana. Feels unlikely that that happens, but if they play like the 5 mana 3/4 that destroys an artifact when it hits the board, stop them from destroying our thing. Feel like it's decent to bounce the Thallid. I think it's probably decent to bounce the Thallid since they've invested all this mana into it. We'll make them recast it and reinvest that mana. That feels decent to me. And then if they attack in with Pelucranos here, we might be able to kill Pelucranos, blocking with a 4/4 and a 1/1. Okay, well, I should probably keep Deadly Derision. Even though I want 6 mana for repurposing. I'll get rid of... I mean, at this point, I don't need to hit 6 mana anymore, so just keeping Derision and then having another Eyes of Gataxias is fine. And Derision can hit the 6 mana. You know what? I'm just going to keep both. No longer trying to hit the 6th land. Friendship ended with merciless repurposing. Now Deadly Derision is my best friend. Are they going to immediately recast the Thallid? I would be very happy to see that. So I don't have to worry about any tricks in combat here. Yes, main phase 1 the Thallid. Send in your 4/5. No, they're not going to send in the 4/5. Well, that's okay. I guess it's Derision time while they're tapped out. Well, they're green-black. I don't remember anything in green-black that can give indestructible. There's an equipment for 1 in a black that's an instant. They could attach to it automatically, give it indestructible. What are the odds that they're running that thing, though, in a green-black deck? Feels like not incredible. It's probably just better safe for sorry, let's be honest. Like, we've got blockers for their other nonsense. We'll play around the Bladed Battle Fan and just kill it right now. Flip the Blight Reaper Thallid. They're going to get some 1/1s, but we've still got blocks all around. Well, maybe they'll have the -2/-2 removal spell here. Combat trick? No combat trick, at least. Have removal spell. Final Flourish in response. No, alright. That plays quite well for us. And they play a Wary Thespian. And a 4/4 is big enough to block everything they've got. Slam down our Eyes of Gataxias, see what we draw. There is land number 6. And we can flip an Incubator and have a 3/3 on blocks as well. Land number 6 for our opponent means the 7th mana for them. If they have a really large spell like Breach the Multiverse. Ooh, my god, Lurrus of the Dream Den. That can let them keep recasting Blight Reaper Thallid and any other 2 mana or less cards. Probably going to have to repurposing the cat. Stop them from just recasting everything. I'll still have a Halo Forager. Once I have 7 mana, I can Halo Forager, Deadly Derision. I'll have a Scab if I ever hit C-double, and I could put Merciless Repurposing back on top with that too. So yeah, I've got more interaction left after this. This will be fine. Especially with double Scab. I don't remember any hexproof tricks in green or black in the format. They could have a way to sacrifice Lurrus in response, and then I wouldn't get my 3/3, but that's not a massive deal. So I think I can afford to just wait on repurposing and play it as an instant. Another land for our opponent. They've got 2 cards left in their hand. One of which is a Gloomfang Mauler. That's some beef. But counters on the Overgrown Pest, that's fine. Do I have to repurposing Gloomfang Mauler now? Would really rather not. Dang, they kill my 4/4 here, or my 3/3 and 1/1 if I want to kill that. At least Overgrown Pest is 3 mana, so they can't recast it from their grave. With Lurrus later, if I keep Lurrus around, which I might, seeing their Gloomfang Mauler. Should probably, you know what, I should probably take 4 and then repurposing Lurrus so that I can freely play Halo Charge Scabs. So if I repurposing the Mauler and then I start playing Halo Charge Scabs, like, Lurrus is just gonna go absolutely ape. Beautiful. Land number 7 is incredible. Halo Forager, Derision the Mauler, and we have our win condition. A 3/1 flyer to beat down with. Actually, check out their graveyard too. If they have a removal spell, we'll use that one. No, they just have 2 creatures. Alright, we gotta use our own. Deadly Derision. Okay. Gonna start slamming in for 3 damage a turn in the sky after this. I'm just gonna start doing Halo Charge Scab for Merciless Repurposing a couple turns in a row. Unless we hit a C double, then we'll put that on top. But make sure we got plenty of blockers. And plenty of removal. Scornblade Berserker. I'd rather play Scab and flip a 3/3 or buff Forager to 4. So 3 damage every turn. They're at 17. Gonna take 6 turns to kill them. 4 damage every turn at 17 is gonna take 5 turns to kill them. Yeah, it speeds up the clock by a turn. I feel like it does even if I hit them, if I buff it next turn, right? I hit for 3, they're at 14, then I make it 4, and then 4 times 3 is 12 times 4 is 14. Wait. So hit them now and then 5 turns and they're dead. Or hit them now, 13, 4 turns and they're dead. Or hit them now, 14, 4 times 3. I'm so bad at math. I'm just gonna Berserker here. I'm pretty sure this speeds up the clock a turn. I mean, I know it speeds up the clock a turn to get a counter on Halo Forger. I just don't know if I have to do it now or I can wait till next turn and the clock is the same waiting till next turn. It might be the same waiting till next turn. We do get to play around a removal spell here where I still draw a card if they kill it also, which is kind of nice. And that is mana efficient. All right. Yeah, that works out fine. Against removal too. So I guess that plays pretty well. Ooh, that is another land. Did not play my land for turn yet. That's sweet. Now I get to hold up the incubator. Hiker Drinker to the grave. Beautiful. You love to see it. I will spend my mana on that immediately. Okay, I've got a Merciless Repurposing if I need it. I don't actually know how I'm killing them anymore. Just waiting to play a million incubators, or am I waiting to draw into another Halo Forager or C-Double or something? I guess them scooping is a win con for sure. Like, we definitely have tons of different options still, while our opponent has, like, no options, so it can definitely be a frustrating position to be in. When you're in this kind of board state and you have to just sit here and wait for your blue-black opponent to decide what to do. Like, I could scab, I could flip both these. I feel like it's probably just scab again, and see if we hit a C-Double, and if we don't hit that, just pick up, like, an Izugataxis or something. And then maybe cycle a Berserker. But yeah, eventually we just get there with a bunch of 2-for-1 value, flipping a bunch of incubators and stuff, and our opponent does not want to have to deal with a long game like that where they're just out of stuff to do and we always have multiple options. They are not here for a grindy game. We are going to be 5-1 now. Very good record no matter what happens, but we'll see if we can keep it up heading into round number 7. Alright, here we are for game 7. Monocolored hand, but we've got the Ichor Drinker, Scornblade Berserker combo to draw a couple cards. If I don't immediately hit the blue source, I'll probably put the counter on the Drinker, hit them, and then sack the Drinker. We do not immediately hit the blue source. So let's get that card draw going. Cycle the Drinker out to get towards our island. And then cycle the Berserker to do the same. Wary Thespian. Wary 3-1. Another black source is pretty awkward. I think I'd rather be able to block and sack Berserker than just cycle it right now, in case of weirdness. This also leaves my mana up to be able to block the Thespian with a 2-2 if I want to just try to kill it. I think is fine. If they have the bounce spell that surveils too, that's pretty bad here. Afara's Dispersal. Bounce the token in response to me flipping it, and then I just take 3 and don't even cycle Berserker. That's the worst case scenario though. It's actually not like the end of the world. I still just sack Berserker when they pass turn. Okay, no Afara's Dispersal. That is a-okay then. There's a Skittering Surveyor for our opponent. Grabbing a Plains, we've hit a Blight Reaper Thallid. Solid card to play if I don't find the blue source here. If I do find the blue source though, we are going to run out of Xerax Strobe Knight. Because we could double spell next turn if I don't cast anything off a Halo Forager. Which might be worth it for Strobe Knight value, since it looks like it's going to be quite some time until there's a good instant or sorcery in a grave. Halo Charge Scab can help with that, but we'll see. Depends on what goes on here. Blighted Burgeoning. Another blue source for us. Do they allow me to get the 2 in freely? Yeah, they might just be flipping the incubator here, which means I can go Blight Reaper Halo Forager maybe? Okay, they didn't respond to that, which means if I Halo Forager, I can Strobe Knight. Cool. Not recasting anything, but it's gonna be fine. Cosmic Hunger, the Halo Forager. Oh yeah, because they can't hunger the Strobe Knight. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, now there's a Cosmic Hunger for this Halo Forager, and that casts the spell, so if I Halo Forager and Cosmic Hunger, that's 2 spells cast for the turn. Which triggers the Strobe Knight again, although I can't kill the Timberland Ancient. I can't attack into the Timberland Ancient either, since it has reach. I'm actually kind of just stuck here. I think I need to Halo Charge Scab. Hope to mill some better removal for either of us. I mill an Eyes of Gataxius. I don't think I want to draw next turn, and they mill a Tribute to the World Tree. Alright. Well, Timberland Ancient is a brick wall, but can't get through our board state either. We can block it with a 4/4 and a 2/2. Or we can just take the damage to let our flyers in. Kami of Whispered Hopes. Any +1/+1 counters they get are doubled. And of course, Invasion of Moog with double counters. No attacks. Halo Forger, Eyes of Gataxius, and Strobe Knight. Or I can Cosmic Hunger for 4 damage and kill the Kami of Whispered Hopes at least. Is that better than an Eyes of Gataxius here? I guess, because I can also hold up my flip. I feel like the Kami's probably already gotten all it's going to get done, but they are green-white. Mostly, they've got a little bit of blue off the splash. But green-white mostly means Kami probably does still pop off. I don't love it, but let's Cosmic Hunger. And the top deck war has begun, and they draw the replacement Kami of Whispered Hopes. Well, alright then. Welcome back, Kami. Welcome back. Let's see how we start the top deck war. Halo Charge Scab, that is pretty dang good. That is an excellent start. Alright, let's see what we're milling. Land, those are good mills for us. We'll put Eyes of Gataxius on top. We definitely have the mana to just play it. Next turn for the card draw. Now I can just flip Thallid for now. Make sure I get even more blockers. And I still do not have attacks into the 8/7, but I probably will soon, even if I don't have removal. If they don't play any more creatures, our board state is starting to get ridiculously wide. If I do hit removal, then we're just gonna go hog wild. Speaking of going hog wild, Storm the Seed Core, pretty phenomenal here with the second Kami of Whispered Hopes. Yeah, I mean, that is disgusting. Oh, there's probably some decent blocks to find somewhere in here. I've got 2 hourglasses to do so. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Boop. Goodbye, Timberland Ancient. Thallid. Forger. Goodbye, Surveyor. 2, 2, 2, 2. Goodbye, 4, 4. Wait, no, we're just winning on board? Unless their last card is a combat trick? Hold up a second, there's no way. There's definitely even better blocks I could find here. I guarantee you there are better blocks. But this is like the good enough block. Maybe it's 3-1 and 1-1 there. And then 3-3 and 2-2 there. They only kill one of our creatures. Oh wait, no, I need one more power. 3-3, 2-2, 2-2. They can kill 2 2-2s, or they can kill a 3-3 and a 2-2. Yeah, I don't know. This looks like fine. There's definitely a best block, and I'm not finding it here, but that's okay. Because the block is good enough, if their last card in hand isn't a combat trick, that we still end up with the positive, the best board state here. Oh, it's just a land. Okay, well, that Storm the Seed Core did not pop off how they wanted it to. Aw, 1 mana off from playing the repurposing and getting the double spell again. That's okay, we're already winning on board now. Alright, I guess them drawing Storm the Seed Core was just a huge net positive for us. Because it has cleared everything up. We are now ahead on board. We were ahead on board before, but we didn't have to push the issue. Like we couldn't break through their stuff, but now we can because they shoved into our board. Here's a double spell, that's beautiful. Yeah, we're gonna get there really quickly now. Things just snowball so quickly in this format. Once you start getting ahead, they need one of the super sick rares to flip things around. We can be playing better here, holding our incubators to do during their end step, but I'm just trying to wrap this game up. Because I think we got it pretty much on lock at this point. Probably find lethal with repurposing here, but I like playing it a little safer in case this is some really good interaction. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Not quite lethal. They get a free kill on the 2/2, so we'll drain them there. Down to 1. Yeah, pre-combat repurposing would have been lethal on board, but we don't know what's in their hand there. Alright. Really, really solid stuff now. We are 6-1. We have made it all the way to the final boss here. I think the only game we lost all draft was when we were stuck on a mono-colored keep. Did not draw out of it. I mean, we weren't stuck on that keep. I could have mulliganed, but we kept the mono-colored hand and did not draw the second color. And that's the only way we lost all draft, so feels like an incredible deck and an incredible run for the deck. 6-1 now, whatever happens now. Super in the money, but we'll see if we can't get a nice 7-win run as we head into the final boss. Here we are for the final boss, what may be the final game of Magic for today. If we can win it, we are on a very awkward hand where we need to hit a black source and we need to hit it quickly. We have no castable spells without it, and we're on a 2-lander. We've got both double black spells with no swamps. I think this is actually a monocolored hand. I will mulligan this time around. Alright, this is definitely better. We have both colors. We have a 2-drop into a 3-drop. Late game Halo Forager. We'll get rid of one of these Halo Charge Scabs. 2 is definitely a bit redundant this early in the game. And let's see how things go from here. Our opponent is also on black. They're going to roll out with a swamp on turn 1 into... Thinking. A swamp on turn 2. Blight Reaper Thallid is the play. Alright, no land for us here. We can drop a Dreg Recycler. We could offer the trade with Thallids. I could drop Berserker, make our Thallid a 3/3, get damage, and then cycle it. I think that's where I'm at. I'm not cycling the Thallid, I'm cycling the Berserker. But I will get my free 3 damage in, and then see if I can hit land drop 3 on turn 3. We can. Beautiful. Last turn, wait, why was it? Oh, because I could sack the Thallid. I was going to say, why does it say I can transform this? I can't. It was just saying I could sack it. Alright, mirror match number like 4 today. It feels like a lot of mirror matches. They get the Invasion of Amonkhet with no blocks up for us. Feels bad. I'm going to discard our 5-drop Halo Charge Scab here. That's... seems like the thing. Maybe a Dreg Recycler. Another Halo Forger. That's a little awkward. They are so much better later in the game, but a 3-mana 3/1 flyer is still an okay card. I think I'm going to Eyes of Gitaxias here. I think it'd be okay to just flip our Blight Reaper Thallid, but I really want to hit more lands with double Forager in the hand, so drawing a card here can get us closer to our next land. Well, this is going to be rough if our opponent has removal. They're going to flip Invasion of Amonkhet and go straight into a graveyard, pull out something incredible. I guess there's only a Halo Charge Scab in grave. The flipped Invasion of Amonkhet's not going to be the craziest thing ever, but still probably their best play. Yeah, goodbye Thallid, I need lands. That is sad. Not a lot I can do about that. We just don't have enough lands early game to get enough blockers down to stop the flip. So we are going to fall behind. Halo Charge Scab is the play. They mill a land for us. They can pick up their Temporal Cleansing, I guess. That's annoying, but not incredible. Still missing land drops, as you do. Can kill a Thallid. That's about it. That's pretty much all I can do here. Alright. They just declare attacks. I guess we flip the 3/3 and block the Thallid. If they try to flip the Thallid, we kill the Thallid. Send in for 4. I will take the 4 damage. Flip the Thallid post-combat. Let's kill the Thallid if we can. We can. There's an Aether Blade Agent. Land drop for AO. Let's go. They have any cheap instant sorceries? No. 3 mana is the cheapest still for everybody. Play Recycler and flip a 3/3. Block the Halo Charge Scab with 5 power and toughness. Kind of force them to use their Temporal Cleansing now. Order of the Mirror. Temporal Cleansing is any non-land permanent, so they can just kill my Incubator. We're just going to pass turn, though. Okay, they could already kill my Incubator. It doesn't have to be flipped for them to kill it, so... a little weird. It's a sorcery, so I guess... just not going to get killed here. Here's an Invasion of Amonkhet of our own. Maybe they just have a bunch of counter spells up. Assimilate Essence. Oh, Artistic Refusal. Alright. Sure. Pass the turn. Another Halo Charge Scab of theirs. I guess this is the first actual Scab. Now they can just put Artistic Refusal on top. And they're milling more lands for us. Or from us. Put the Artistic Refusal on top. Still no attacks. It's nice. No Temporal Cleansing either. Post-combat Temporal Cleansing. Okay. I will take my extra 4 life and run away with it. Since we would have taken 4 if they did that pre-combat, since all I'd have is a chump block. Fortunately, there's not a lot, again, as I've been saying, not a lot I can do in the mirror match if I just don't make it to my 6 mana. So, I've just been far behind on mana all game. So that's gonna be the loss, most likely. I like our deck in this matchup. I think our blue-black deck can compete fiercely with this one, just not with these draws. Would you like to Artistic Refusal a Cryptomancer? No, you want to Shapecraft the order? Do you want to Refusal a Cryptomancer? Right? I mean, they're completely tapped out if I can draw into anything here. But land 5 doesn't even do anything great for me. Just get to replay a Shapecraft now. And draw a card. It's a turn closer to Merciless Repurposing. Eyes of Gataxius is the draw. I have to chump and take a lot of damage. Take 9 damage if they flip Agent. If they flip both of these, I'm dead. Alright. They didn't flip both, so I guess I'm not dead. Unless they drew into a Cryptomancer for instant speed backup. Still had all these. Good for you. 6 and 2, heading into the actual final boss. Our only losses today, just some rough mana. Alright, here we are for the final boss, the last game of Magic for today, win or lose. Pretty solid opening hand, no 1 or 2 mana plays, but Eyes of Gataxius on 3 is good. Our opponent's on the play, which can be spooky here, but the mana's looking really good. We have 3 mana, we have 2 of each color thanks to our dual land. See if we can get some good stuff going here. Dismal Backwater to start things out. Our opponent started with an Urn of Godfire, which is removal for later in the game. We'll drop a Swamp and pass the turn. Tidal Terror is going to get Island Cycled. It's going to be our 15th blue-black mirror match. Got a pretty great track record overall in this matchup. We did lose last round, but last round our opponent drew far more lands than us. Final Flourish the Strobe Knight, fair enough. Invasion of Dominaria off of the Urn of Godfire splash, gain 4, draw a card. Seems fair. It's Eyes of Gataxius and Ichor Drinker here. And then pass the turn ourselves. Gloomfang Mauler is also getting cycled for a land. That is their 5th mana. Here's our 5th mana. We could play a Halo Charge Scab. Or I can flip a 3/3 and hold up a Collective Nightmare. I don't really have anything to hit with the 3/3 outside of their face, which is just fine. I think I'll tap out for a Scab. See if they've got the Assimilate Essence style counterspell. Or if we get some beefy 4/4 on the board. The beef resolves. Island, Eyes of Gataxius are the hits. I'm pretty fine to draw another Eyes of Gataxius here. Invasion of Amonkhet. Well, I can say it's not that important to get to 6 mana this game because we have Halo Forager that can actually hit a 2-drop Final Flourish now. I think I discard Cryptomancer and just keep a bunch of great interaction. I guess Cryptomancer's pretty good against the Urn, but just want to make sure I can blow up anything they play since they haven't played a lot of creatures, and it should be easy to do that with all this interaction. Let them kill one of our cards and we're still going to be pretty far ahead on board. If I kill any creatures they play, these things are just never flipping. Alright, Elspeth's Smite. I guess they could have some of those render inerts. That wouldn't be great for me. If they don't have render inerts and they're planning on flipping battles with creatures, we really make sure that does not happen. Corruption of Tawashi, incubate 4, so we're going to have to kill a 4/4. They're also going to draw a card every time they flip a card, which is pretty bad. For me, I don't think there's a really good instant or sorcery engrave right now to recast, so I think I'm just going to do an Eyes of Gataxius. Wish I could do Unseal the Necropolis instead. I think I'd rather Eyes of Gataxius. Drawn to a Dreg Recycler. They're going to flip their 4/4 and draw a card. You know what, I should have held Ichor Drinker back for a chump blocker against Invasion of Amonkhet. That was pretty loose. Yeah, I definitely should have, because now they can Invasion of Amonkhet anything back. We'll just Derision it, but they can hit something that gets value when it hits the board, like our Halo Forager now. This is going to play really badly. Yeah, we might have punted this one. Just not holding Ichor Drinker back. Just getting aggro. Getting angry. We are 2 beat stick mode right now. Norn's Inquisitor. Okay, that's more okay, but still, we would be pretty vastly winning if we just held the creature back to make sure that the Invasion of Amonkhet didn't flip here. It's okay to let that turn into a 3/3, then we kill that. Corruption of Tawashi's just going to be disgusting. Scroll Shift. So they're gonna just put an Invasion of Amonkhet on board. I think that's fine. That just means I hit them for 7? Two mana to flip a 3/3, attack for 7. Could hit for 8 here, but then this Invasion of Dominaria flips. I think I hit for 7. Drop Drug Recycler. Yeah, I like having a Nightmare to kill this 3/3, and then there'd just be 1 backup. I think that's fine. They're down to 6. I guess they could Urn of Godfire my Ichor Drinker to flip Invasion of Amonkhet. If they have better removal in their hand, then they could flip it pretty easily. But even if I held the thing back, they could flip it easily. Oh! Hey, Elspeth. You're probably pretty bad for me, right? +2/+2 and flying permanently? Yeah, that's kind of atrocious. Halo Charge Scab. Ooh, they milled our Ichor Drinker. Our other Ichor Drinker. Put a Final Flourish on top. Play an Aetherblade Agent. Well, I can't really do anything here. I think we just die slowly. I could double Collective Nightmare 4/4, but then they just have their other 4/4 block my 3/3 and their Death Toucher block my 4/4. I could Collective Nightmare. Probably best to Collective Nightmare the Death Toucher pre-combat, then send a 4/4 and a 3/3 at Elspeth. That's going to force 2 blocks, and then I Collective Nightmare whatever blocks the 3/3 to try to clear out the majority of their board. But then I'm just out of stuff. And I'd probably even just still go at their face. No, because if one of these gets in and they go to 3, that's fine. It's not like I have any other life drain. Like they're just they can accept 3 damage easily. They can't just easily let something in at Elspeth. They could let both in, but it's all or nothing there. Oh my god, multitasking. I said out loud the line and then just not do it. I was trying to focus on talking. Okay, well, at this point, we're just losing pretty hard, regardless. Even if I played this out right, all it would have done was dealt with their stuff on board, and then we would be out of cards in hand, so we need their hand to just suck. But we could have killed everything except their 4/4 flyer. They're going to incubate 3 here, sure. Yeah, I don't think this second punt mattered that much. I think we're already dead, but the first punt this game was really bad. I think this game was really winnable. I should have just held blockers up for that invasion of Amonkhet. It's so easy to forget about eggs just flipping and beating things down. Totally forgot about just the 4/4 coming in with the insta haste and slamming into the battle and flipping it. And that cost us this game because that's where things snowball. Once you flip a battle, you get so much value. You can just start rolling from there, and they really did. So that was the turning point of the game, not having blockers up to be able to stop them from flipping Invasion of Amonkhet. If it weren't for that, we would have kept a pretty decent lead on the game. The other big punt earlier that I think would have played better, holding on to Cryptomancer would have played better, but we didn't know they had any interaction in hand. And I still think that like playing it against the Urn of Godfire is not the greatest thing ever. Like if they want to spend 6 to blow up one of my 3/3s, that's pretty fine. But yeah, holding on to Cryptomancer would have been better than not holding on to it. And then the final punt here, I didn't really punt mentally. I just punted with how I inputted things into the game. I guess I didn't punt strategy-wise this last time. I just punted implementation-wise. Clicked the wrong buttons. Which just is what it is, you know how it is. I actually think I need to just trump block here. I should have sent Iker Drinker there. Again, now I'm just going over the game, so at this point it's over. Don't care too much. But because they have Final Flourish in hand, I needed to just trump there. I couldn't go for the 2/2 block and Collective Nightmare, which is why I didn't try to Collective Nightmare. They've got a Flourish in hand. Alright. Punted my way out of this game and then just kept punting for fun. I think I played pretty tight most of the other rounds, though. I don't think there was anything I could do for my first or second loss. But pretty bummer way to end it. Always hurts to lose to a punt. And it doesn't even feel like a punt that's like a learning moment, really. It's just a punt that, like, I just didn't see the egg. I just wasn't paying attention to the incubators. So it's a bit of a learning moment of, like, yeah, pay attention to your opponent's board state, but it's like everybody knows that. Feels more like a punt just because of just brain overload, not being able to keep track of everything, like does tend to happen. Alright. Really bummer way to end it. This deck deserved a 7-win run. I think this deck was incredible. I think I drafted super, super hot. Very, very happy with how I chose to draft this deck. I think this is probably right around the best build it could be, and this deck probably gets to a 7-win run on average, and 100% should have gotten into a 7-win run today. We just had a bit of gameplay errors there. A bit of user error for our final loss. Our first 2 losses were due to variance. I think those games were just our draws versus our opponent's draws. We were never going to win. I think I played fine in those. But game 3, we should have won that game and threw it in the trash with a sequence of pretty bad punts. So, unfortunate, pretty irritating way to end it. One of those ways to end it that makes me just be like, all right, I'm done with Magic for today. I'm going to go play something where I can turn my brain off. But it is what it is. Still was a fun deck to play. Still had a really enjoyable time up until then. But it is what it is. You live and you learn. Gotta focus, slow things down, do things one at a time. Keep an eagle eye out on that board state for eggs that are lying in wait to flip on you and destroy some battles. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons very much for supporting this channel, as well as you for watching. If you're interested in seeing more videos like this, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you more of these videos in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below, and if you'd like to support the channel, check out the Patreon link in the description below. Other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.